Hey guys, welcome to the Talking Shed podcast. Once again, it's Cody and I on this one. And being that you can hear the turbo humming on the F-150, you know that we are driving down the road. What are we up to today, Cody?
So we just got packed up and we are heading home from the Fort Wayne Farm Show.
Yes, sir. And we got to talk about, we got out of that place in record time today.
Yes.
So in the past, the previous record was 5 o'clock. We, usually they don't open any doors or let anyone even carry anything out until 4. You and I went and ate a late lunch. We came back at like 2:45 or 3 o'clock, and they had the flooring ripped up, and they had already made a couple trips out to the trailer. So we jump in, start helping. We had Mom and Dad and the truck and trailer out of there right at 4 o'clock.
Yep, we kicked her in the butt and said, get out of here.
Yeah, we beat the previous record by an hour.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I mean, we didn't have all of it out. We just had the tractor left, so that was...
Yep, Grandpa rolled in with the semi promptly at 4 o'clock. Elliot and Nathan and you and I, we went and detached the semi, back the Deutz 5080 and the Salford spreader up onto the trailer, got her chained down, and Grandpa, he was pulling on the air horn by 4:25.
Yep, we pulled out of there and away he went.
Yep, it was good. It's nice, every time you go to a show, you learn a little bit more and more about how to become more efficient and how to do things, obviously faster, maybe change this display, or let's bring this, let's not bring this. And we were, we brought some dolly carts. We brought some extra help in, and man, it paid off. We're going to be home at a really good time. We're cruising down 30 right now, just outside of Fort Wayne, and so that side of it was good. We also set up in record time too. Really, Monday we got right in there, and it went well. So the next show might be Louisville. It might be the Iowa Power Show. For any of you listeners out there, if you've ever been to the Iowa Power Show, we have not. We've just heard a lot of our vendors and different customers talk about how that's a great show. It's coming up the end of January. We sell plenty of equipment out that direction, and it's a way to get a lot of acres in one place at one time. And so I called out there today. They did not have any booth space available, but
we're on the list.
We were like number 1 on the waiting list. So I filled out a form, and we'll see if we can get in there. I don't know. We'll definitely give it a shot. That show, a lot of guys are saying, is right up there with Louisville. So
yeah, that's like the 30th through the 4th or something like that, or the 2nd?
30th through the 2nd.
Yeah.
So the trailer's loaded. We got all the displays and everything cleaned up. We might as well try one more trip.
But, for sure.
We'll see what happens. So we might be headed out to Iowa. But next one up is Louisville. But let's rewind and recap this week. Cody, why don't you walk through what you talked to customers about this week at the Fort Wayne Farm Show?
We had a pretty wide spread as far as what was in our booth as far as the other products go. So it was anything from closing wheels to row cleaners to strip fresheners to strip till in general. A few guys that were interested in the wine drop bar, and had a guy interested in a couple of J&M applicators as well. So quite a few folks make the trip down here from Michigan, and there are quite a few folks that are obviously in the Indiana and Ohio area that are existing customers of ours that come and see us. And it's they've got time to think right now, and they know that they need to get the planter in, and so we talked a lot of planter products and stuff like that. So Planer setups, planer fertilizer setups was pretty big here this week. So got a few of those to quote out here yet, and that was really about it. Few leads on the tractor. So we had a 5080 key line in there with a loader on it, a stole loader on it. So quite a few guys were interested in that, and so yeah, that's pretty much what I talked to guys about for the most part. And obviously the Devastator. The Devastator was big too. So
well, that's a year-round product.
Yeah,
it's getting to be. It has been, really. I mean, but I think especially with all the residue that we had this fall, guys they're always looking for ways to help break that down.
Yep.
And that's definitely step number one.
Yep, for sure. For sure.
I talked to guys about a plethora of things as well. Granted, it was more heavily weighted on planer focus. Closing wheels were the big thing. I mean, we're still selling poly spikes. You think, man, we sold 5,000 rows last year and the year before and the year before, and you think someday you're going to run out of planers but you won't. I mean, there's guys that are still jumping on board, and it's good. So we had a nice closing wheel display, and turned out great. So I did a lot of planer fertilizer. I quoted out some tanks, a lot of those stainless tubes out the back. Yeah, I'm telling you, I've done a lot of videos on those tubes, and there's no better way to do your 2x2. It's so trouble-free, so cost-effective. Yeah, the simplicity of it, I think, is really what guys are really keen about that system. Yep, no doubt. And so, yeah, it was a great show. The first day, attendance was probably average, I would say. Yeah. On Tuesday. Wednesday, it was probably, it was packed. But compared to the last couple years, I would say is a tick lighter than what I remember. Yep. The parking lot was full, the aisles were full, but it was bombarded last year and the year before. Yeah. It was a tick lighter than that. Today was pretty slow. Yeah. The last day was slower than I remember the last several years being, but it snowed. The roads were slick this morning. Yeah. So yeah, I think that might have had something to do with it as well. So yeah, the weather sometimes can play in your favor because it was so cold out this week that there really wasn't much else for these guys to do. So why not go in the warm farm show? So yeah. But when it snows and ice and it's sometimes better off to stay at home. So that may have played a little hand in today's attendance, but overall it was still good. The guys that did come, it was you definitely had the quality there for sure still. But yeah, that's kind of what happened throughout our week for the most part. What else did we do? Well, we you and I did a lot of driving. We don't stay in Fort Wayne for the show. We drive back and forth every day. We got wife and kids at home, and so we try to make it back at a good time, and we leave early. And this morning, on our way up, we leave the shop at about 7, and we really don't eat much for breakfast. There's really no time to stop, and by the time we get to the show, we're kind of hungry, and then everyone shows up, and then pretty soon it's 2:30, and we haven't eaten yet. And I told Cody yesterday, I said, we're going to find a honey hole diner to eat breakfast at. And so we had two choices. So this morning, we left plenty early. We left the shop about 6:30, and we stopped there in Wilshire at Everett's Diner. Yep. And man, what a home run. Yep. That worked out really, really well. Yeah, it's not like we found a honey hole, because that place has been there for decades. It was your first time. Yeah, it's just something you don't think about. You drive by it, it's just a little hole in the wall place in a real little small village, and it was definitely a lock for sure. I'll be going back. home run breakfast. You ever get through Wilshire? I don't know what time they open up in the morning, but it's pretty early. I've been through there a few times when, you know, when they were open, and it was, shoot, I don't know, 6 a.m. it seems like.
Yeah.
So they had good hot coffee, the sausage patties and bacon, and over easy eggs were sure good too. So it was a home run stop. So we will definitely be hitting that more often on our trip to and from the Fort Wayne Farm Show. That's for sure.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, we made a couple new displays for this farm show. One of them was a closing wheel display that Brent put together. And we basically stacked the wheels just side by side instead of mounting them on a tailpiece. And man, that was a attention getter. I think we had 5 different closing wheels on there.
Yeah.
They were all in a roundabout way poly twisters. They were just different versions of them, maybe the cast or the cast ring or the short and the poly.
The cast ring was a hit. A lot of guys really like that cast ring.
Yep, it's going to be a good one. But so yeah, that was our weekly adventure. We put on quite a few miles. I mean, it's only an hour. Little over an hour drive from the shop to the show there. So yeah, that's what we did. Now back home, Austin and the gang, and I just shot this video this morning for those of you that have been itching to see a video of the warehouse. Now, it's not 100% complete, but the new warehouse that we've been working on, I'm telling you guys, it is sweet. I can't wait for spring to come around when we can have guys in there and really serve them. It's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, for sure. All the plumbing parts and everything are organized and accounted for, and I know Austin really appreciates it for sure. Well, it's not so cold in there right now.
That's the big thing. The old warehouse, if you guys have ever been in there, it was frigid. There was no heat, no insulation. This time of year, you're grabbing cold steel. It was tough. And now it's beautiful. It's heated, well lit, plenty of open space, clean, organized. It's going to be a big deal. I've been thinking we need to have like an open house or something.
Yeah.
You know, I know we're not completely done with the construction, but we're done with the current phase for a little while. So, I don't know. A lot of dealerships have some open houses this time of year. It'd be all right to maybe have a one-day open house, get some guys in and just maybe feed them lunch or something, have them tour the facility, because there's a lot of guys. I get the question every day, where do I go? Do I go to the old shop or the new shop? Or, you know, everything now, parts-wise, equipment-wise, is at the new shop. They're on 29. The office staff is still at the old location. We don't have the offices done at the new shop. But as far as part, service, whole goods inventory, it's all there on 29 at the new shop. So that's where you'll go. That front building, if you remember Wabash Garage, where all the garage doors were, that is now the warehouse, that front building. So it's pretty sweet, and you'll have to check out that video on YouTube. So what would you say, Cody, what do you think the ratio was between guys you talked to that were existing customers, whether you sold to them or I did or Dad, versus new? What do you think that ratio is?
I would say guys that we've dealt with and guys that we haven't dealt with, I would say it was probably 70% of them we have dealt with before, the other 30% we haven't.
Yeah,
I would say
it's pretty accurate. You know, and sometimes, you know, we probably had more than that as a ratio, like just kind of stop in the booth, like, hey, what's going on? But you know, a lot of them know where to find us. Maybe they've already gotten their parts and they were just stopping in to say hi. But yeah, the overall people that we were talking to about product, I'd say it was probably 70-30. It's just, you know, that show's so close to home that we get a good local crowd, and then there's a lot of guys that come down from Michigan for that show. Because of where it's located, you get northern Indiana, you get southern Indiana, northern Ohio, and get a good mix of farmers. Some of them farm in sand, some in rock, some are seed corn, some are real small growers, some are giant growers. I mean, there's some, a little bit of everything.
As far as who you talked to, who was the furthest away?
Furthest away. Oh, man.
I know I talked to a gentleman this morning. He made the hike down. It was 5.5 hours from Grand Rapids this morning.
Man, I don't know. I'd have to think on that one for a little bit. I don't know. A certain distance doesn't stick out in my mind, but I know there was a lot of 2 and 3 hour trip guys. But I can't think of anyone who made a trip that far that I specifically know about. That I asked them where they were from and that I quizzed them that they were that far away. I don't know. It's hard to always put a thumb or a finger on the value of these shows because, geez, how many business cards do you think he handed out this week?
Oh, I bet it was over 100.
Yeah, I mean, because you'll get a guy, he'll come into the booth and, hey, anything I can help you with? And, well, I'm looking at maybe adding some fertilizer to my planter. I don't know what I want to do yet. I don't have it pulled in the shop. Well, we can offer this, and this, and you give him a business card, and he may call 3 months from now.
Right.
And so it's hard to gauge, and then you keep going to those shows. I ran into a guy. He was in the booth. He really had no intentions of really even kind of stopping and talking. It was yesterday. I started talking to him. Oh, I'm just kind of looking around, and heck, pretty soon we started talking, and heck, we talked for probably an hour, and here now he's looking for some tanks for his planter, and I quoted him a complete planter fertilizer kit, and he told me, he goes, I don't even know where you guys are at. I never even heard of you. I don't even know who you are. And so I got him acquainted with the business and stuff, and he's a guy that had maybe never heard of us, and we're going to do some business with him. So it's you never know what that next guy is going to need. That's what's so fun. He might come in kind of looking at that closing wheel deal, and heck, turns out maybe he needs a Salford tillage tool. You just got to dig in and quiz these guys. What's your operation like? What are you planting into? And pretty soon in our mind, we build a portfolio on different ways that we can help their operation succeed, and maybe that's with a closing wheel, or maybe it's a row cleaner, and you gotta kind of find exactly what those guys are after. We're doing some rubbernecking here as we're driving. It's 5:30 and sun's going down. There's snow on the ground. It's 25 degrees out. There's a bunch of deer.
Yeah, there's some deer out in the field. Well, I mean, if you guys have listened to us before, this is also a hunting podcast too. So we're avid.
Do we have any hunting stories to tell?
I think we might have one.
We do.
Yeah.
And we're only 20 minutes into this podcast. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about them yet. The contract says we have to wait till minute 35.
I didn't sign it.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Well, heck, okay. We can tell some hunting stories. I thought we had to talk equipment for 35 minutes first.
Oh, heck. Well,
I do have one more. I was talking to a guy. He came up yesterday, and he said, I did not recognize this guy, didn't know him, and he walked right up to me. He says, hey, Adam. And I was like, okay, he knows my name, and I'm like, shoot, am I supposed to know this guy? And how many times did that happen this week?
Oh, a bunch.
It's like, shoot, I can't remember your name. Refresh me. And then he says, Well, remember, I've got the three-legged dog. Oh yeah, Jim down there on the other side of Terre Haute. Okay, yeah. And but no, I said, where are you from? He goes, I'm from St. Mary's, Ohio. I said, geez and Pete's, you're right around the corner. Well, long story short, he has owned a Salford tillage tool, him and his family, since 2004. They started off with a 450, which was a very early model. Traded that in for a 570.
Mm-hmm.
They traded that 570 in 2014 for a new 2128. And he wants to go 5-inch spacing.
Mm-hmm.
He was at our field day this summer. I did not talk to him there. And he said, I've been watching your videos. I went to the field day. He said, I want to upgrade my 7.5-inch tillage tool. I want to go to a 5.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, so I've got to go look at his trade, give him some numbers, and hopefully get him into a new Salford. So
yeah,
it's just, you never know what the heck you're going to run into. And like I said, it's really hard to put a number or a gauge on these shows. You just got to keep plugging away, keep talking to the customers, and at the end of the day, you're going to end up with a stack of phone numbers that you need to call back and get with and get them helped out with parts and service. And keep going to the shows, keep going to different shows, and pretty soon, there's going to be a bunch of guys who know who you are, and that's what we've been doing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. To add on to that, I had a gentleman that I sold a 2224 to. We traded in his 570. You sold his 570 out to New York. Know who I'm talking about?
No.
So his name is John Shipper. Him and his brother bought a 2224 off of me.
What was their trade?
It was a 570, a 24-foot 570, I believe, is what it was.
Okay.
And it never made it back to the shop, and the guy bought it out of Michigan, and they loaded it up on the trailer and sent it out for us.
Okay, I think I might remember that now.
Yep. So he is now looking at an endurance spreader off of us. Yep.
So a litter spreader.
Yep.
Okay.
So, yeah. So he was he bought a Devastator here off of me this fall, and now we're making the transition to a litter spreader here.
That's good.
So, yeah. So that was it's always nice. I've never met the guy. There's some more deer out there running. But, yeah, I've never met him in person before. Maybe once down at Louisville, I think I met him. But, yeah, it's always good to see those guys again, and you regain that relationship that you had whenever you were first starting to sell to them and stuff like that. So
rekindle.
Yes, rekindle. That was the word I was looking for. Yeah, so that's always nice, too. I always enjoy that. But
yep, it's great to talk to them over and over again, and they'll come to you with stories. They'll say, hey, you'll never guess. You told me that Salford tool, that you could run it right ahead of the planter, and that planter would just smooth ride across that. And you would not believe the stand of beans I got behind that Salford tool. And it's just great to hear those success stories. You don't always hear from them all the time, but when they're in the booth and in the farm show, they'll open up and start talking about products that you've sold them and how it has made an effect on their farm. And it's awesome when maybe you get a father-son in there and what they were looking for from you is a way to become more efficient. Maybe they don't have much help and they want to come to you to look for different ways to speed up their operation, to allow them to get their corn harvested faster, or to get their tillage done and cover crop seeded faster and all that. And when you can provide that, or maybe you save them a pass by putting row cleaners on their planter, and when they put the faith in you that those row cleaners are going to save them a pass, and they go out and try it and do it, and it works, and they come to you and they're like, man, I don't know why I didn't do that 10 years ago. And those are the great stories to hear. It's a lot of fun to hear guys talk about that. So, yeah, it was definitely a good show. It was great to see everyone. If anyone listening was there, we appreciate your presence, and glad that we got to meet up with you there. And hopefully we'll see you guys here in another month at the Louisville Farm Show. So that's coming up too. What do we have coming down the pipe? I leaked it a little bit in that episode with Lee, but we're going to have a second booth there, Cody. What do you think? What are we going to put in that second booth? It's up in that big room.
So we'll be just down the way from the Salford booth, up in the big room. So we're going to have a booth both where we always are and up in the big room with where John Deere and Case and all the big dogs are. So we'll just have a little, what is it, a 10 by 20?
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll probably have a Devastator up there, and maybe some, we're definitely going to have another poly spike closing wheel setup up there, and just a little few odds and ends. And if you need to see anything bigger, we'll send you down to the quote unquote dungeon, as we call it.
Yeah, the West Wing. The lighting isn't great down there. I always joke and call it the dungeon. Heck, I've talked to guys that go to the show and they don't even make it over to the West Wing. So that's why we're trying to have a booth in each room, because there have been times where we're in the West Wing and maybe there's no traffic, and we talk to the Salford guys and they're covered up. So I know there's a lot of people. It can get congested making your way around that hallway around the tractor pulling arena. And so, yeah, it can be tricky to get over there. Yeah, for sure, especially if you've never been there before. Right. So, yep, it'll be interesting, and it'll be a lot of fun. This week, I sent the shop guys out on a planer job. It was a pretty quick job. They plumbed up some stainless steel tubes out the back of a John Deere 12-row planer. They went out and tackled that yesterday. We've got a lot of planer jobs locked in, really. Yeah. Probably half a dozen or so. I locked in a little bit of a planer job today, installing some row cleaners and some TT300s out the back of a 1775.
Nice.
So that'll be fun. I'm quoting quite a few more. So
yeah, I know I've got quite a few to quote, and I think I've got 2 or 3 that we've got to go do. So.
Yep, 'tis the season.
For sure. So, well, I'd say that's enough about equipment talk.
You cannot wait to tell hunting stories.
What? I mean, it's. I'm sorry. It's in my blood.
It's a great story.
It is.
Yeah. See, Cody's tagged out now in Mercer County. Ohio, they base it off of counties. I think you can get up to 8 deer maybe in Ohio. But you can only kill so many in certain counties. Mercer County, you can get 3 deer. You can only get 1 buck total in the entire state, no matter what. So muzzleloader season, I live for muzzleloader season. It's usually cold. The deer usually bunched up. They're headed to food. They're pretty predictable, and with the old smoke pole, you get a little more range. It's like bow hunting, because it's primitive. You know, you only get 1 shot, but you get just a little more extended range. And so cards are stacked a little bit more in your favor. But yeah, I guess just break it down for us, Cody. We were muzzleloader hunting there. It was a Sunday, and talk about what happened. Yeah,
so we're heading out to Adam's got a place that we hunt where we also do a little bit of farming. We farm about 55 acres of his, and
well, we farm it twice a year. We plant wheat and double crop beans, so it's 110 acres.
Okay,
then, right?
Yeah.
If we farm it twice.
Yeah, that's true. That's good logic. I like your thinking. I like your thinking. But no, he's got a little Morton building that we have all of our hunting gear in and stuff like that, and so we're getting ready and everything, and so we're on our way out to our stands, and I look up and I'm like, Adam, there's deer running out there, and these things are probably 800 yards, 1,000 yards, probably something like that.
They're out there.
They're out there, and and I'm like, look, and Adam's like, oh yeah, there are some out there, and he pulls up his gun and looks through his scope, and Adam's like, oh, they're chasing each other. They're just running around in circles. He goes, I bet there's a doe in heat out there, and I go, yeah, there's probably a good chance. He goes, dude, they're coming back. I'm like, all right, okay. So we keep walking to the stand like we were, and we're watching and looking for them, and all of a sudden Adam goes, oh, right there they are. Let's go. And so basically we're probably 150 from the woods.
Felt like a half a mile.
At least for me it did.
These deer, they're running around chasing, and I told Cody, like I said, they're going to eventually come back, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I said there's a good chance, and all of a sudden I see them circling, and they're coming over this hill, and I said, Cody, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And we just took off sprinting
Mm-hmm.
because we're out in the middle of the open field, and they keep coming. They're just going to spot us.
Yeah.
So I said, we got to get in the woods, and so we took off running.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we took off running, and I stopped in the corner, and Adam went into the woods probably about 30 yards across the creek, and just so that way he could be a little bit more mobile, so that way we didn't miss a chance to at least shoot at him. And so he's kind of maneuvering his way in there, and he calls me. He goes, can you see him? And I go, no, not yet. And I'm like, oh, yep, right there they are. And he goes, oh, yeah, okay. And he hangs up, and so I'm sitting there and I'm waiting for Adam, and I can see there's probably about 7 or 8 of them. There were 3 bucks. They were just they were decent 6-pointers, and then the rest of them were does, and one of them was in heat. And well, why don't you go ahead?
Yep. So from my angle, they were headed right to me. They were going to enter the woods right at me, and the lead doe, she was the one in heat. And you gotta remember, these deer, they're coming in running, and I know the clock is ticking. We're going to have about 10 seconds here to make something happen, or they are going to realize we're there, or they're just simply going to run through their chasing pattern. And so the lead doe comes, and she spots me because I'm looking, because I know there's bucks in this group. I want to see what these bucks look like before I shoot anything. And so the bucks make their way through the window that I can see through the trees, and I can see that they're just marginal deer. They're just some 6-pointers, like Cody said, and I'm like, okay. So I instantly make the decision I'm not shooting any of those bucks. So I revert over. I'm like, okay, I'm going to shoot a doe right here out of this deal. And so the lead doe, I pretty much pick her out. She sees me, but she's getting chased, and it's in the heat of the moment, and she's coming. So I get my gun up, and she's getting ready to cross the creek. At this point, she's probably about 20 yards. And I put my scope on her, shoot, make a good shot. She takes off running up into the woods behind me, and I know instantly right there, I've got a deer. And so I'm just kind of watching her, and I don't really know where any of the deer went at this time, any of the other deer. I'm kind of hoping they maybe faded down to Cody, and it was right about that time I hear boom. I'm like, heck yeah, we just shot 2 deer. And so I collect my stuff. I had my hat laying on the ground, my gloves, and I'm shaking, and I'm like, heck yeah, this is awesome. And so I go walk over to Cody, meet up with him, and he says, yeah, I shot one too out in the field. And so we went and kind of tried to find where she was, started to find some blood, and we tracked her for a little ways. We let mine go because I was confident where she was, and we went and tracked Cody's for a little while, and we weren't getting great blood.
Mm-mm.
And I said, well, Cody, it's early yet. You know, there's still an hour and a half of daylight. Why don't we just go sit where we were going to sit? There's a good chance we still see some more deer yet. And so we did. And we let both deer just cool out. We didn't go find them yet. So we went hunting and didn't see anything else. So we went back after dark, kept tracking Cody's, and we were starting to get a pretty good feeling that she wasn't hit real well. Not much blood. We found a bed. We tracked her up into my property, into this thicket that we call the gravel pits. And I told Cody, I said, I bet she just bedded up in there. We probably should not keep tracking her because we'll end up bumping her, and then we'll never find her. And so we called up Garrett. So take it from there.
Yeah, so we called up Garrett. Garrett's one of our buddies that we hunt with, and he, for Christmas, he bought himself a thermal drone. So one of those thermal drones that you can go out and go find wounded deer or hopefully dead deer if you made a decent shot on her. And so we're waiting on Garrett for probably about a half hour, and keep in mind it's pretty cold out. So Garrett finally gets there, and
my wife brings out my boys in the meantime.
Yep. And so the hooligans are in there having a bunch of fun, and Adam's got a swing and basketball hoop, and we're hooting and hollering in there, and Garrett shows up, and they get the drone out, or Garrett gets the drone out, and we fire it up, and we're starting to look, and there we find her. She did exactly what we thought she did. She bedded down in the gravel pits, and she's just sitting there going to town licking her wound. So we were like, all right, well, we'll wait until morning, and we'll wait on her. So Garrett's like, well, do you feel confident that Adam killed his deer? And we're like, yeah, we're pretty confident. And he goes, well, I'll fly it over there, and we'll find her. And I'm like, all right. And so we fly it over there, and we find your deer right away. We knew almost exactly where she was, and he found her and dropped a pin and flew it back, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So then we loaded everyone up on the tractor, on the Kubota loader, and this is why I wanted the boys to come out. Of course, it was Sunday. They had school the next day, so we're kind of racing the clock. My wife's saying, "Get them boys home. You know, it's bedtime." But almost every deer that I've shot in the last few years, I've had the boys come out, help me track, and they bring out their Leathermans. They're ready to skin the deer and gut, and they're all into this deal. So
they're all about it.
Yep. And I wanted them to experience it again. So we go out, and we go out into the woods and track the deer, find it, and took pictures with the boys.
We almost stumbled upon it.
Yeah, we found it right away. Got the deer loaded up in the bucket, and got everyone in the tractor, and brought them back to the Morton building, and got her taken care of and hung up, and the boys just had a riot. They still talk about that today, and they will for a long time. I showed them the heart, and it's funny. At night, we tell stories. We tell make-believe or sometimes real hunting stories. And Jackson, my youngest boy, he's 3. I ask him, ever since that night, I say, Jackson, tell me a story. And in the past, it would be a story where he would see a buck out in the bean field, because he remembers this summer he was walking with me out through the beans. We were checking the beans, and I pretended that there was a deer out there, and we were sneaking up on it. There wasn't a deer, but that was the story he would tell. He'd say, oh, Dad, look, I see the buck, and he would act like he's sneaking, and I'd say, get your bow, and he'd pretend he was pulling it back, and we would tell that hunting story at night. Well, now I say, Jackson, tell me a hunting story. He says, one time I was out at the groundhog barn, and I saw her. He says her, because whenever we shot my doe, we kept saying her, like grab her, let's go gut her.
Yep.
And so he refers to that deer as her. And so he says, so I was out there at the groundhog barn, and I saw her, and we were down by the creek, and we went through the creek and on the trail, and we got her, and we had her heart. Because if you remember, when I gutted her, the boys wanted to see her heart.
Yeah.
And I showed her the heart. And
Yep.
so he tells that story. It's hilarious. And so that's why I wanted them out there, is to experience that. And so it was a great time. And so we went back out the next morning. We were able to find Cody's doe and get her dispatched and taken care of and hung up as well. So we doubled up. That was so much fun. Just the way it went down. You know, we weren't just sitting in a tree stand and some deer kind of milled by and boom, you shoot them. We used a lot of the skills and things that we've developed to know how deer act over the years to make a good move on those deer. We knew as soon as we saw them chasing each other that we had a shot, and they were a half mile away. And so it was just fun for it to happen in that manner. And deer hunting by yourself is cool. It's fun. You can do what you want to do. But when you hunt with others and it happens, it's so much better. It was so fun. So to get everyone out there, and Garrett was involved, and Caitlin brought the boys out, man, that's the highlight of my season. Granted, that's the only deer I've shot so far. So yeah, that made Cody tagged out in Mercer County. That's number 3.
Yeah.
For Cody.
Yep.
And
so
that was a blast.
That's back-to-back years.
Back to back. So now, you know, it's January 19th or something like that. Now we're getting a lot of deer activity. They're all bunched up. We're seeing 30 some deer a night, and there's a couple bucks that are shooters, but when there's 30 deer in a pack, they're extremely hard to hunt. You're talking 60 eyeballs, 30 noses that you got to fool to get them within bow range.
Yeah.
Ohio season runs until I think February 4th. So yeah, it was fun. We've still got some time. I'm gonna try and arrow a buck, and but I'll tell you, with this cold, with the time of year, I can't help but think about them coyotes.
Oh yeah.
It's go time.
Oh
This cold snap really, you know, them coyotes are going to be hungry. Period. And breeding season's coming up. Man, we are going coyote hunting this weekend, and I am so pumped. It's going to be on fire.
We're going to dog them down.
We are going to nail it. You know, a lot of other times whenever we go coyote hunting, we just kind of go.
Yeah.
Just because maybe we're free that day. We don't really. This is the first time that we have had the weather in our favor.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure. In a long time anyway.
Oh, in forever.
And probably since the first time we've ever went.
Yeah. So it's going to be so fun. We're going to call in multiple coyotes. I think we're going to go Saturday. We got
the gun. Got the gun dialed in. Well, hopefully.
We'll see. They better be sniffing it. And so it'll be a good time. Yep, we're going to have some coyote hunting stories coming up, but that's what we do when we're not making YouTube videos and doing podcasts and helping farmers. We hunt. It is so fun, and it creates a very fun lifestyle, and it actually hones you for life. I mean, you're hunting, you're chasing deer, but that ain't what it's about. It's about making those decisions. You know, can I be quiet enough and sneaky enough and use the wind enough to fool that animal? And it creates a lot of skills that you use every day. So that's the hunting story, and coyotes are next, and I couldn't be more excited to go out Saturday. Yeah, for sure. I'm pumped. I am pumped. I don't know that I've 100% cleared it with my wife yet, but we're going coyote hunting Saturday. Yeah, I mean, they aren't going to listen to this anyway, so it don't really matter if we talk about them or not. So tonight, I'm going to run it, just kind of slide it there over the table, a little note, slide it over like, hey, we're going coyote hunting Saturday.
Yeah, I'll just be like, hey, just let you know, I ain't gonna be around Saturday.
The weather's going to be ideal, and they're going to be out.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, maybe we can. There's some more deer.
Yep, there's deer everywhere tonight.
Quite a few. Yeah.
Oh, geez, yeah. Yep, I'm sniffing that decoy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what we got going. We're back at the shop now. We just got back to the new shop. So
yep.
Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. We will keep them coming. Thank you for listening, and we'll have some coyote hunt stories on the next one.
Yep.
So,
thanks for tuning in, guys. We appreciate it.
yep, we'll see you.